Hi everyone, and welcome to lesson 9 with for loops. There was a lot of confusion on this one, so I wanted to send out a video to give you guys some extra help. So a for loop is a set of programming steps that allow you to do the same thing multiple times in shorter sets of code. So before I go ahead and look at this example, I want to take you back to what we have been doing up to this point. So we've actually made quite a few programs now that have used repeated code. So the example that I have here is our make pancakes program. You guys might remember this. She moves, places 3 tennis balls, and it leaves like a stack of pancakes. And as you can see, I have a lot of repeated code. Move, put ball, put ball, put ball, move. This is just the same thing over and over. So you can see that code is repeated here, repeated here, repeated here. Now, some of you guys have already figured out that functions could be used to replace this. So we started making the function make pancakes, and you guys took one set of that code, put it inside, and were able to get rid of all of these lines. Look, 15 lines of code we got rid of. And then we could make 4 stacks of pancakes by doing this. Make pancakes, and then I go copy. Okay, so this program is now going to run this set of functions 4 times, and I get the exact same result. So I'm going to speed her up just a little bit. Okay, so I still have a lot of repetition because I had to make the same function call 4 times. So to make this even shorter and even faster, now we are going to get into for loops. So this is what a for loop looks like. It's in the control flow section. It's green. There are 3 parts to the header. So the first is the variable index initialization. There's a lot there, but don't worry about it. We'll get into variables a little bit later. So right here, we are declaring a variable called I, or index, and we're setting it to 0. That means our loop hasn't started yet. The second is I want to set how many times this loop goes. I only want it to run a certain number of times. I don't want a loop to run continuously. I want it to stop eventually. So I'm going to have her make 4 stacks of pancakes. So that number is what I'm going to alter. And then I++ means each time this loop runs, my number is going to get bigger, so eventually it will know when to stop. So let's go ahead and drop this for loop in here. So I still need my function so that it knows what to do, but now instead of having 4 lines of make pancakes, I just need 1. All of this extra stuff that was repeated, I can go ahead and get rid of that, because this right here is going to say make pancakes this many times. So I'll get all of the same stuff. Now I'm going to slow this one down because I want to show you guys how it steps through the program. Let's go ahead and run it. So it hits the for loop, and then it reads the function. It goes through all 5 steps, and then that for loop hits the function again. Now down here you can see I is increasing each time. It was 1, then it was 2, now it's 3, and as soon as it hits 4, this loop stops. Okay, so that's where that number 4 came in handy. It said make 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it stopped that program. So now I'm down to only 10 lines of code. I was able to shorten that quite a bit and make this so much easier. So we'll head back to this program right here, and this was our example of the repeated move. So Carol is going to move forward 9 locations. So we have our start function, our for loop, it starts with 0, it's going to go to 9, which makes sense because we want her to move 9 times, and she just moves 9 times. So that for loop will hit 9 times. You can see the index increasing each time. Okay. Now we'll go to the next example. It's a little more advanced. And this loop is going to repeat 6 times before exiting. So Carol will put down 6 balls and then move forward location each time. So 6 times she's going to place a ball and then move. Okay. So we'll keep an eye on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then she's going to move. There we go. Now, notice we had here code outside of our for loop. Not all of your stuff goes inside the loop. If we had placed the move right here, watch how this would have changed our program. She'd have placed a ball and then moved, placed a ball and then moved, placed a ball and then moved. The location of that move really did matter because this gives me a completely different series of steps. So make sure you are aware there are things that can go outside your for loop. Anything that's inside these green brackets though, this is going to be repeated, so make sure you're aware of that. Now, all of my program is inside of a start function, so that's pretty consistent from when we learned about start functions back in lesson 5. All right, so this is going to be one of your codes. So I'm not going to give you everything, but I'll get you started on it. So your assignment for this one is to pick up 100 tennis balls. Okay, now this is where for loops become very, very handy because it would take forever for her to move forward and then take ball, take ball, take ball, take ball 100 times. I really do not want to do that. So I'm going to be using, oops, sorry about that. I switched to code view for a second. I'm going to be using a for loop here. Okay, so you'll put that inside and you're going to want your take ball in here. Your number that you're going to alter is going to be there. Okay. Now, I did want to talk for just a second about indenting. A common problem that you start to have as you get into for loops is when you hit run and check code, you might get something kicked back saying that there's something wrong with your indenting. If it does, you can go to here. Inside of your start function, this should be indented. So if you open it up and it looks something like this, okay, all of these things need to be indented. Okay, so function, start, move needs to be indented. For needs to be indented. Now the take ball actually needs to be indented twice because take ball is inside of that for loop, and then this needs to be indented. So if you ever get a programming error saying there's something wrong with your indents, switch to code view for just a second, fix those, and then you switch back to block view and you are good to go. Okay, now as you can see, my program is not 100% working. I am aware of that. Just be aware that this is not a complete example, so you'll need to do some figuring out on your own for how to finish this, but this would just get you started. Have fun, guys. If you need more help, please let me know.